Look, first of all, you're right. Valorant is absolutely a team game, but even the best sides need a hard carry. An MVP who's willing to strap their whole team to their backs, line up their operator, and do it all themselves. With the first VALORANT Champions Tour officially under our belts, and the first World Champions officially crowned, we still don't have an official MVP. But that's alright, because we at GGRecon are going to take you through the players who set VCT Champions alight. Those talented few who should be in the running for the title of MVP. Team Liquid's silky skilled Scream, Acend's playmaking maestro Starxo, and Gambit's clutch king Chronicle. Scream had Team Liquid fans, well, screaming his name during VCT Champions. The daring duelist main was on fire for the whole tournament run, as Team Liquid finally made good on their promise as a top-tier Valorant team and took the supposedly superior opposition to pieces on their way to the semi-finals. And Scream was absolutely critical, putting in a man-of-the-match performance in their defeat of Sentinels and taking North America's Golden Boys apart on Split, bagging a 305 ACS, 26 kills and a crucial 6 First Bloods. The EU v NA argument finished before the tournament had even left the station, and he topped the frag chart again as Liquid hit the playoffs like a raised showstopper, bringing Cloud9 down to earth with a bang in a dominant 2-0 sweep. Scream flat out refused to let his North American opponents live, snagging a half-century of picks to see them through to the semis. Scream was easily Liquid's top performer in a packed field at Champions. Every single one of Liquid's players pulled their weight, and 3 of the 5 topped the stats for headshot percentage going into the semis against Acend. But Scream played like a man possessed, topping the average combat score leaderboard for his side and scoring the most frags out of any of his teammates across the whole tournament. And while he took 4 tons of Team Liquid onto his back against Acend, desperately doing everything he could to keep his side afloat as the game slowly drifted away from them, it just wasn't enough. Still, with nearly 30% more kills than his entire team across all 3 maps, Scream was absolutely not at fault for Liquid's nearly performance. He was an MVP, just not the MVP. But speaking of Acend, we'd be remiss if we didn't put our first Valorant World Champions in the MVP mix now, wouldn't we? When it comes to Valorant's MVPs, it's all too easy to spike down on the duelists of Future Earth, to simply award MVP to CNED and call it a day. They get the kills and the stats suggest it's them who had the biggest impact on the game. But it's support shot caller Starxo that gets the nod from us here. Starxo's importance to his team goes way beyond ACS and frags. Most of their good work goes through him at some point, and nowhere was this more clear than Acend's business end run to the trophy. He was the steady hand on the Acend ship as they fought back against waves of pressure during their semi-final against Team Liquid, going +9 and +10 on bind and split to actually top the average combat score for the match. And that's before we even talk about what he did in the final against the plodding, incessant pressure of determined Gambit esports. Starxo played the role of quarterback, setting up his team to withstand any small breach in their defences, pushing them towards pressure points to force Gambit into rare mistakes. Keeping the likes of Defo and Nats quietly tucked away in your pocket is no mean feat, especially when you're having to adapt constantly to ever-changing lineups on a best of 5. For Starxo though, it was just another day in the office, playing 3 different agents across Sentinel and Controller roles during the 5-map slugfest. Bone Cold might be Acend's actual in-game leader, but look at Starxo, he is the captain now. He took the wind out of Gambit's sails and led his team to sunnier shores and the biggest treasure booty in Valorant history, $350,000 and the VCT Champions Trophy. So why isn't Starxo getting our nod for MVP? Well, it's because there was one man without whom Acend's final opponents wouldn't have even been there. And that man is, no, it's not Nats. It's Gambit's resident initiator and king of ACS, Chronicle. An on paper easy draw in the group stage saw Gambit given more of a run for their money than many expected. Team Vikings were dealt with, but it took a Chronicle masterclass on Icebox and a 35% headshot percentage to finally take map 3 and advance to the quarters. His calm approach was a much needed influence under the heat of the LAN lights. And without Chronicle, Gambit could well have followed the lumbering footsteps of Sentinels on their way to an early flight home. But it was in the playoffs where Chronicle really came to life. He was by far their best player in the latter stages of their quarterfinal against X10 Crit, the only Gambit player to put up the kind of fight expected of reigning Masters champs on map 2, before absolutely destroying the Southeast Asian side on map 3, going +10 and leaving any thoughts of a rising wave of hashtag supremacy laid out squarely on the arena floor. Against Crew, the underdog side with a bite just as vicious as its bark, Chronicle kept the Argentinians on a tight leash all game long. He went +23 across all 3 maps, scoring a cool-headed 30 frags on map 3 alone, as Gambit pushed back a Crew resurgence to win it in overtime. Of all the players to reach the final, it's Chronicle who had the best headshot percentage across the whole of Champions. It's Chronicle who had the best kill-death ratio of any player to make it to the semis, and it's Chronicle who got the most picks of any player at the whole damn tournament, with 295 frags added to his kill list in Berlin. The fact is, without Chronicle, Gambit simply wouldn't have made it to the final. Throughout Champions and throughout the grueling VALORANT Champions Tour as a whole, Chronicle has always been there. A master conductor leading an FPS orchestra to the crescendo of VCT Champions. Quietly plucking at the strings of his teammates, complementing their play, and popping up with a masterstroke of his own. Keeping Gambit in the game no matter what. And if that's not an MVP, I don't know what is.